What if a single deal could reshape a war-torn nation's future, secure a superpower's influence, and send a bold message to the Kremlin? Buckle up, because the United States and Ukraine just signed a game-changing agreement that's making waves across the globe. From precious metals to oil and gas, this deal is about far more than resources. It's about power, peace, and a new chapter for Ukraine. Let's dive into what this means for the world, why it's a diplomatic masterstroke, and how it could shift the tides in the ongoing war with Russia. Stay tuned, because this is huge. Welcome back to Focal Point, where we break down the biggest global stories with clarity and insight. Today, we're unpacking a monumental deal between the United States and Ukraine, signed on Wednesday, that grants the U.S. access to Ukraine's vast natural resources. But this isn't just a business transaction. It's a strategic move with massive implications for Ukraine's economic recovery, the war with Russia, and the global balance of power. From the streets of Odessa to the halls of Washington, we'll explore the details, the reactions, and what this means for the future. Let's get started. The agreement, signed by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko in Washington, is a landmark partnership. It gives the United States access to Ukraine's energy infrastructure, including oil and gas reserves, as well as its precious metals. Think lithium, titanium, and rare earth minerals critical for modern technology. In return, the deal establishes a joint investment fund aimed at fueling Ukraine's post-war reconstruction and securing future U.S. military aid. Here's the kicker. This is a 50-50 partnership. Ukraine retains ownership of its resources, and both nations will equally share profits and management responsibilities. The fund will bankroll energy projects, rebuilding efforts, and even pay dividends to investors. Unlike earlier drafts floated by the Trump administration, this deal explicitly avoids forcing Ukraine to repay the billions in U.S. aid already provided. That's a massive win for Kyiv, which has been adamant about not being saddled with debt for past support. To understand the significance, let's rewind. Just months ago, tensions were high between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Remember that heated Oval Office clash in February, where Trump accused Zelensky of risking global conflict and suggested Ukraine bore responsibility for the war? At the time, Trump proposed a deal that would have forced Ukraine to repay U.S. military aid through resource concessions, a non-starter for Kyiv. Fast forward to last week, when an unexpected 15-minute meeting between Trump and Zelensky at the Pope's funeral changed the tone. No aides, no interruptions, just two leaders hashing it out. What emerged was a diplomatic breakthrough. The agreement signed this week reflects a softer, more collaborative approach from Washington, signaling a commitment to a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine, as Treasury Secretary Bessent put it. This is a far cry from the confrontational rhetoric of early 2025. For Ukraine, this deal is a lifeline. The country has been ravaged by Russia's invasion since February 2022, with cities like Odessa and Kharkiv enduring relentless attacks. Just this week, Odessa faced one of its worst nights in years, with Russian drones striking residential buildings and a school, killing at least 2 people and wounding 5. In Kharkiv, a petrol station was hit in overnight strikes. The war shows no signs of slowing, and Ukraine's economy is in tatters. The Joint Investment Fund offers hope. By selling licenses to develop its oil, gas, and minerals, Ukraine will generate revenue to rebuild shattered infrastructure, restore energy networks, and support its people. Crucially, the deal prioritizes reinvestment in Ukraine, ensuring the profits don't just flow overseas. It also aligns with Ukraine's European integration goals, with clear language stating that nothing in the agreement can contradict its path toward EU membership. But there's a catch. The deal lacks explicit security guarantees, something Ukraine desperately wanted. While the U.S. argues that its financial stake in Ukraine's resources is itself a deterrent against Russian aggression, skeptics like Hannah Schillest, a security expert in Odessa, aren't convinced. She points out that Russia has previously targeted U.S.-linked investments, like a Coca-Cola plant, early in the war. For Russia, only military commitments, like weapons contributions to the fund, truly matter. Still, the inclusion of an option for the U.S. to contribute arms instead of cash could bolster Ukraine's defenses. This deal is a direct shot across the bow to Russian President Vladimir Putin. For months, Moscow has banked on the Trump administration scaling back support for Ukraine, hoping to exploit divisions in the West. But Washington's commitment to this long-term partnership sends a clear signal. The U.S. isn't abandoning Ukraine. As our correspondent Jake Kwan reported, this is a blow for Moscow. An easy victory seems no longer likely. The timing is critical. Russia continues to pound Ukrainian cities, and Putin has rejected calls for a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, offering only a 3-day pause. The U.S., alongside Ukraine, is pushing for a more robust truce as a precursor to peace talks. By tying its economic interests to Ukraine's sovereignty, Washington is forcing Putin to rethink his strategy. A peace deal may now be closer, but it hinges on Russia making concessions, a tall order given Putin's track record. Let's not kid ourselves. This deal isn't just about altruism. The United States gains access to Ukraine's vast natural wealth, including resources critical for energy and technology. With global demand for rare earth minerals skyrocketing, this partnership positions the U.S. to secure a strategic edge over competitors like China. The 50-50 split ensures American investors see returns, and the option to contribute weapons to the fund means the U.S. can maintain its military influence without footing the entire bill. Politically, the deal is a win for Trump, who campaigned on ending the war quickly. While his promise to resolve the conflict in a day hasn't materialized, this agreement bolsters his image as a dealmaker. It also counters criticism that he's soft on Russia, showing he's willing to challenge Putin by doubling down on Ukraine's sovereignty. In Kyiv, the mood is cautiously optimistic. As BBC correspondent John Donison reported, Ukrainians feel they've secured a better deal than expected. The absence of debt repayment obligations and the focus on reconstruction have eased fears of exploitation. But the ongoing Russian attacks, airstrikes rocked Kyiv the night the deal was signed, underscore that this is no peace agreement. Ukrainians want a ceasefire, and they're holding firm on a 30-day truce before any territorial talks. In Odessa, Hannah Shellis described the deal as a diplomatic victory, but warned that without military guarantees, it's not a silver bullet. The city's residents, reeling from the latest drone strikes, are desperate for peace. The sounds of Russian Shahed drones and trembling windows are a grim reminder that economic deals alone won't stop the bombs. This agreement is a marathon, not a sprint. It will take years for the Joint Investment Fund to bear fruit, as developing Ukraine's resources requires massive infrastructure investment. But its immediate impact is undeniable. It cements U.S. Ukraine ties, challenges Russia's calculations, and gives Ukraine a fighting chance at recovery. The bigger question is whether this deal can pave the way for peace. Trump's push for a ceasefire remains a priority, but Russia's reluctance to compromise suggests tough negotiations lie ahead. For now, Ukraine has a powerful ally in its corner, and that's no small feat in a war that's tested the resilience of an entire nation. What do you think about this deal? Is it a win-win for the U.S. and Ukraine, or are there hidden risks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going. If you found this breakdown helpful, smash that like button, subscribe to Focal Point, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. We'll keep you posted on how this deal shapes the war in Ukraine and beyond. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is with Focal Point, bringing you the stories that matter. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.